Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 33 of Creating a New World, the show about the 12 Visions world, a world of wealth, health, peace, love, and freedom that you can help create. I'm your host, Bill Hunsiker, and I would like to welcome my co-hosts. First, I'd like to welcome Larry Johnson.
Good morning, Bill. Glad to be here.
I'd also like to welcome Bob McCaffrey.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning.
And we're going to start out talking about the 12 Visions world. And we're going to start that by reading the 12 Visions. If you would like to go ahead and do that, Larry.
I was going to
When
do
you're
that, Bill.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
The 12 visions. Vision 1, become the person you were meant to be. Vision 2, live the life you were meant to live. Vision 3, feel extraordinary every day. Vision 4, slow down aging permanently. Vision 5, land the job of your dreams. Vision 6, build the business of your passions. Vision 7, experience the love of your life. Vision 8, have the body you always envied. Vision 9, become a genius of society. Vision 10, have everything you ever wanted via the free to soar geniuses and technologies. Vision 11, enjoy nearly perfect health. Vision 12, raise your own little geniuses. That's the 12 visions.
Okay, go ahead and unmute yourself, Larry. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Today's topic is going to be protection through technology and how that's going to look in the 12 Visions world. Basically, once the geniuses of society are freed to pursue their passions, some of them are going to look at the what we need to protect people from injury and also from those who might want to hurt them. And we don't have to talk about technical stuff, but just general ideas of what kind of technology we would have. Mark Hamilton in his Super Puzzle story talks about several things, including jewelry that includes basically something similar to what we have in our cars that would expand a pad. It would have a device that would detect if you were falling and expand a pad instantly to break your fall to prevent injury. And also, Mark supposed that the police would have suits that would shock someone if they touch them. It would be like what we have now with the stun guns, only it would be part of their suit, and so if anyone tried to attack them, and we could also have those kind of things for people, for everyone too, if that would be innocuous and designed in such a way that someone else who is wearing something similar, or so that it would protect you from someone harming you. And also, devices could be incorporated into swimwear that would automatically inflate and bring you to the surface if you were underwater too long, which would indicate that you may be drowning. All these kind of devices will be, anything you can think of, someone can figure out a way to make it and market it so that everyone can have it and be protected. And that's one of the wonderful aspects of the 12 Visions world. In our world, every time someone comes up with an idea, either there's a high barrier to trying to market it, to manufacture it, you can think of an idea, but getting it to market is very difficult in today's world. Um, and so therefore things come slowly, if at all. And that'll be the big difference between the 12 Visions world and the world we live in now, is that things will become available quickly. But also ways of, we're even now we're coming up with technology and ways of manufacturing things ourselves rather than having to invest in a big factory. We have 3D printers, and we have robotics that are available, and anyone could set up a small assembly line in their house and create pieces with a 3D printer and have a robot arm assemble them automatically. And more and more this is becoming available, and if we get into the 12 Visions world, there won't be the barriers that are created by the government through regulation and over-regulation and that prevent people from being able to produce these things and market these things themselves. Any other comments on that?
Well, you touched on quite a few things there, Bill.
Yes, I did.
One of them was the kind of technology that would that's unimaginable.
Mm-hmm.
Technology where we without the regulations and litigations and the rule of man is holding back society. You will start to see these geniuses of society bring forth unheard of creative ideas, as far as maybe building cities in the sky using anti-gravity, and where people live in the sky, kids be able to move around much faster and quicker. I mean, you look at the assembly line now, and you look at everything is constantly speeding up. The thing was holding us back, and the loss of life is the genes of society are not allowed to enhance life.
Mm-hmm.
And be able to put in places some of those things that you talked about that would save life. And part of that comes from the whole energy thing that we're talking about right now on the platform is this political correctness that exists throughout this country, where you can't say certain things, and if you don't buy into certain segments of these career politicians, then you're not allowed to exist. And those correctness is really the rule of man trying to control certain segments of the society to gather votes to keep the illusion of using your money to suppress you.
Yes, and I agree with you 100%. And unfortunately, religion plays a part in that also. Certain religious ideas get in the way of providing help for people, and we could get into a lot of that, but I'm not going to. But basically, the idea that anything that helps a woman is bad, because there's also the possibility that abortions may be performed at a place. Then anything that helps a woman with her health care is bad, just because that one part is part of it. That's one of the things that's going on right now in the world we live in. But the main idea here is that in the 12 Visions world, none of these barriers will exist. And also, for those who may be concerned that people are just going to throw stuff out, people will be concerned about, the safety of the products they're developing, and there will be other people whose passion will be to test those products. And so those people will people will get together and work together and help each other, and perhaps someone will have a contract to test someone's products and then get a small portion of the profits from marketing those products in the future. That is one way I would run a business, testing products, if that's where my passion was.
Well, Bill, the other thing is, in terms of business is what really drives, whether you want to talk about the economy or drives society. And the problem is the market is not allowed to determine, in a free society, where those products that are enhance life
Mm-hmm.
will survive. Those that don't, and the problem is you don't allow society or business is not allowed to flourish to the point where people can see what works and what don't work. People are not going to support something that don't enhance life. The problem is we have these people who create illusion and think that everything that's brought to market must be dictated by, quote, some regulated body or governed by somebody that's been set up to fulfill a certain segment of society's profits. And the thing is, in a free society, in the 12 visions world, the market would dictate the outcome. The market would be able to let you know what works and what don't work.
Mm-hmm.
People are not going to buy a product that's not enhancing life, or those things that is just not workable. You don't need nobody regulating that. Business will regulate itself. Everything that we have in society came through business.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're talking about the cars, the assembly line to get food to market, the railroad systems that moved the products, it came through business people. The problem is the government stepped in, as you know, through the reading, the writings, Mark Hamilton, that they've stepped in to say that they need to be the false guardians to protect the people. And that's the illusion.
Yep, and that's why cars cost as much now as houses cost 40 years ago.
Yeah. But the great thing is, you look around, the prices of things are falling, which is is in tune with the platform of the 12 Visions Party. It's to make all the people rich, including the poor, and by driving down the prices and retesting through effort and creating value, that genius of society will be doing. It would be able to make a lot of things affordable. I mean, like the car industry, wasn't affordable. And now it's almost affordable to anybody that wants to own a car, wants to be able to, move around in society much quicker. That as the price has come down, to the point where there's thousands and thousands of people who drive every day. Because it became affordable, and it's going to even become more affordable as other products in society begins to fall. And that's why everybody will be able to live, if they choose to, wealthy. If they choose to, be rich. But the question that's holding us all back is the question of freedom. The question of making those decisions without the strangulation that we have to be confronted with every day.
Yeah, and I agree with that, but I don't think that really the prices of cars are falling. They're higher every year, and you still basically have to go into debt to get a car. you know, it's very difficult. Even the low end cars cost $10,000, $12,000, and that's more money than a, a person makes in a month. So it's to get a car you have to go into debt. It used to be you could just buy a car, but now you have to go into debt.
Yeah, but see, in a lot of these markets now, and that's true what you're saying, but you
Hmm.
got to see what's coming also. You got the competition that's competing in the car market, but they got plans now they putting in place where you can get a car with no down payment, and you can wait up to 2 to 3 years before you make your first payment. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? I mean, it's so competitive, and people competing for that business is what's really making it possible for those prices to fall. I mean, you go and look at these clothes, and the clothes thing. I mean, you can go and buy stuff. These 2-for-1 sales or what they have.
Hmm.
Before where those prices for that stuff is falling. Because it's part of the competition. It's the same thing in the car industry. I mean, yeah, they're expensive, but because of the fierce competition and allowing the market to dictate, you can shop around and you can find a vehicle, with the terms that you really want. If they got cars now where you can pay less than $100 a month for.
Yes, yeah, that is true. But also the energy industry, specifically petroleum, um, even petroleum drives the economy right now because transportation is mainly based on petroleum. It's not, there is some electrical, some based on electricity, and very, very little based on helium fuel cells, and but but the vast majority of transportation is based on petroleum. But what I've noticed is that the cost of gas has gone down in the past 6 months, but the cost of goods being delivered really hasn't gone down that I've seen. And that's one of the things you know that's part of the problem, because in response to changes is sluggish. In the 12 visions world, you know, a breakthrough will bring about rapid reduction in prices. And that's the millionaire phenomenon that we talk about, that even just earning 30, $40,000 a year, you'll be able to buy things that only millionaires can buy in the world we live in now.
Right, right, exactly. And you can see that. I mean, you look at the price of gas a year ago as opposed to now. I mean, in a minute you might be paying under $1 a gallon.
And
You
that
know,
that was the result of competition also, because when the price of gas was high, when gas was really cheap, there was no competition. And we saw how basically the companies that produce gasoline have basically merged until there are only a few, so there had almost been a monopoly in the market for gasoline, and therefore they could charge whatever prices they want. And that's why gas costs as much as it did a year, 2 years ago. But then when they kept those prices that high, people started looking for other ways to produce petroleum and therefore gas, and they had competition. So then their market was shrinking, so they had to reduce their prices in order to stay, and that is good. But unfortunately, those people that invested in those alternate ways of producing petroleum are now having problems, because those ways are expensive and were only justified by the high price, the high price that people were willing to pay for gas.
What we're seeing now is we've got a glut of oil, and what you're seeing, some information that I just heard recently, uh, people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates that had billions of dollars invested in oil companies have just pulled their money out of the oil companies, and they're looking at a system that creates electricity from solar power.
Hmm.
And basically, it's readily available all around the world, the material in order to be able to do this. and the material is as simple as sand.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're doing is they're extracting material from the sand that they're able to create solar panels and solar cells, and they can paint it on your house. They don't need big, expensive panel boards to do it. They can paint it on the highway where you'll be able to drive down the highway and pull electricity off the highway and continue driving. So basically, your source for transportation is going to be free.
Exactly. And you know, when you look at the whole question of there's oil, they're backed up. There's ships, from what I'm seeing, so many ships that's in these ports.
Right.
They're sitting there. And as long as the sun exists, and they're starting to
Mm-hmm.
realize that there's an unlimited, as Bob just went into, there's an unlimited amount of resource for energy all around us. The problem is, um, because of technology is out there, it's going to be able to become affordable. Where is it? You know, as a businessman, in the future, it's going to be your relationship with the customer
Mm-hmm.
more than it is about trying to drive that profit. Uh, you know, on the other end. But if you have a long-term relationship with that customer, you know, your company, you'll be able to net a profit, you know, going forward. But the thing is, it's not going to be able to stop the energy thing, you know. And we do have you know, that's why the price of oil, gas is falling. There's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
oil out there, but there's technology also that's making other improvements.
Right.
Yeah, there's competition now that there wasn't before. Before, petroleum was the only way for transportation, to produce electricity, you know, for your household use, or petroleum or coal. And, you know, basically what we're talking about is eliminating the middleman, because basically both coal and petroleum were made by the sun originally.
Right.
They
Right.
caused the plants to grow that you know, eventually became oil and coal, you know. So we're talking about solar energy anyway. It's just that it's been packaged in a really inefficient form, whereas now we're developing the technology to get the solar energy directly and much more efficiently.
I mean, you know, it's the same way when you talk about this whole energy thing, Bill.
Hmm.
It's the same thing with the with water. You know, until you're buying it right now, but in a minute, the technology go where you be able to extrapolate water from right out of from around you, right where you at.
Yeah, I've
You
already
know,
seen that. There's a device that you attach to your bike, and while you're riding, it extracts water from the air.
exactly. But
Yes.
what I'm saying is that technology, from an energy point of view, is going to uh, be able to create the technology that you know you don't need to buy no water. I mean, we going through that now where you got to buy it. You know, only thing that's holding us back is these regulations. You
Hmm.
know, water is just as free as the air you breathe,
Hmm.
and it can, you know, and the technology and the genes of society would change that way. You know, you can have water. You know, just think about being in a house where your water is it comes right out of the air, and then the sun takes that water and warms it up to whatever temperature you want to heat your home.
Hmm.
You know, it's such a wide integration that enhances life to that point. You know that that's where we're going. You know, the only thing holding us back from seeing that is the people who take value out of society and don't put any value into society.
Hmm. And
There's it.
government regulation that makes industries monopolies, such as the production of electricity or the delivery of water to your household, those sort of things.
Yeah,
Right.
where is it they're having a problem with the lead in the water? Is that Detroit?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and they've got people here in New York and New Jersey that have collected bottled water And their big problem right now, they've got this big quantity of water set and wait to go out there to Detroit, and they don't have a way of getting it there.
Right.
Exactly. Right. Because but the point is, when you free up the genes of society, there somebody come up with a way to clean that water up with the lead in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the water can be cleaned up with a water filtering system.
Exactly.
Put a water filtering system on your faucet, it'll take the lead right out of the water.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you can set up a filter that filters all the water that comes into your house.
Yes, but
Right.
the thing is, a lot of people can't afford that.
Right.
And that's probably the case with the people out in Detroit. Most of them can't afford that type of system.
But that's where the genes of society come in to drive down those prices that we was talking about.
Mhm.
That make it affordable for everybody to either, as Bill had mentioned earlier, or if you're making $30,000-$40,000 and the prices of stuff is falling, if you want to have a energy efficient home you live in, you will be able to afford that, whether clean water, whether it's for clean heat,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll just be able to make it affordable for those who choose.
Yeah.
Because we got to remember, we in the as we call it, the civilization we live in is against life.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who choose to enhance life and enhance that new way of living in that 12 visions world that we're talking about, it's going to be exciting.
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
I went by a gas station yesterday, and I happened to notice the price of gas dropped again, and it's down to $1.55 a gallon. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that price since back the late 60s, maybe the early 70s.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
it was nice to see that.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, there's some analysts that are saying that gas is going to go back down to $1 a gallon. I'll believe it when I see it, but I think it is possible in the current, in the current economic climate, if you want to call it that, because the competition both from new potential energy sources and even from the alternative ways of getting petroleum, all of this is causing this reduction in price. Because for a while, they were the only game in town, and that's why they could charge the prices they wanted. Now they have competition.
And
Yeah,
there
and you got to remember what's driving all of it is technology.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yeah.
they have not been able to hook wink on that. Technology is out there worldwide, and people are taking advantage of it, and you can't hold that back.
Right.
I mean, you can
people
try.
have predicted that the oil companies are going to go bankrupt within the next 6 months.
And that wouldn't bother me as long as there is, because unfortunately I'm tied into petroleum right now, and to me an electric car is too expensive a proposition right now. Within 5 years the technology may mature to the point where an electric car costs the same as a petroleum car, but that's not the case right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, but the thing is, they going bankrupt and they wind up filing bankruptcy. They still be doing business. The problem is they'll wind up, it'll be like the guy who had all those ships out there in the port, and after the war, Onassis, he bought up all the ships. Well, we're looking at this scenario again with all the oil. Somebody would figure out, way to maybe separate that out into a commodity that's marketable. Same way he did with those ships, that was sitting there, and ports was backed up with ships. That was after World War II, was it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So the question becomes, somebody going to be outside of the box and say, hey,
Well, basically what Onassis did is he sat down and he figured out with the ships that were remaining, there wasn't enough work to keep the ships working at that time because people were afraid to ship because the ships were being torpedoed and destroyed. But he figured it out that with the quantity of ships that are available, if shipping goes back to what it was before before the war, there were not enough ships available to handle the shipping.
Hmm.
And that's why
Exactly.
he started buying up the ships and became a very wealthy man by doing that.
I mean, I think you could see that in terms of what's going on now.
Yeah.
It's the analogy I was trying to draw with that,
Yep.
you know.
Okay, we'll move on to the next section, and we'll keep the same theme. Today's theme seems to be more or less, even though I started with an idea of protection, having available energy is part of protection. But we're going to go on with the energy theme, and we're going to go on to a section I call "Where's the Force?" And the topic today is going to be energy production. So, Bob, where's the force?
The force basically is controlling the quantity of oil that can come into the country. Our government has that capability where they can control it and limit or create whatever quantity they want to have flow based on what they will do. So that's where I see the forces in the governmental control of what comes in and out of the country.
Okay, thank you, Bob. And Larry, where's the force?
Well, you know, Bill, the force is in, and you look around at these different businessmen who want to use alternative energy. They're being blocked. You know, we got, I think it's a case here in New Jersey down there, and in South Jersey, you know, where you want to, you know, this guy bought up one of those buildings down there who wants to use alternative energy, you know, which is, and, you know, protect his investment. And they've been, you know, have been blocked, you know, through, you know, that's the force, you know, you block people from moving forward. You know, you block them from protecting their and bringing in alternative energy that not only when you look at it at a microscopic level right there at that place, that could spread throughout, you know, where it could be windmills generated energy, or there could be, it could explode into sun, uh, solar panels that bring in energy that will make it affordable to everybody. That force is stopping that from expanding. And you could see pieces of that when you see businessmen come in and make an investment who have alternative uh, energy that's not allowed to flourish because of the large energy company wants to, you know, keep a hold on
Mm-hmm.
making people pay uh, whatever the board of that regulates that says, okay, you can go and charge them an arm and a leg.
Mm-hmm.
Next time you look at your bill, you'll be like, wow, who told them they could charge me this extra money? There's a governing body that told them they could do that, you know, and that's the force that's beating you over your head to get your money.
Okay, thank you, Larry. I agree with all those. And also, there's also just, if someone decided they wanted to buy a plot of land that's not being used for anything else and put up, you know, solar panels and then start selling energy, they couldn't do it. Not with today's uh, government regulations. Or it would be so cost prohibitive to get a permit or whatever permission from the government to do that. Um, and also, if someone tried to do that, they may find themselves talking to some local zoning board who says, "No, we're not gonna give you permission to use the land that you bought for that purpose." And that's part of where the force is. Also, just basically the way energy is produced and distributed, there's all kinds of regulations involved that make it very difficult, and make it cost more for people using that energy. And again, those are all the things that we're trying to we're looking at in the 12 Visions world is not being there, so that anyone can produce energy and market it. And
what you look at with the solar panels, for example, through the Power and Light Company, when you put solar panels on your house, they can monitor and record what you're using. So they still have control over it. But when you produce a source of energy that they can't put a meter on and they have no way of monitoring it, that's where the problem comes in. And now you're doing this illegally, so we're going to give you this $2 billion fine that you're going to have to pay, which is going to stop you from doing whatever you were trying to do. And this is another way in which they come in and control things.
Right, exactly. And the problem is, but that's the illusion, because the illusion is they're saying they're doing a benefit to society, but really they're not. They're just holding back members of society.
Yeah, well, there in the past there have also been instances where they come in and whatever equipment you're using to produce this, they confiscate it and take it away and prohibit you from using it again.
Right.
And, cause great losses for people who
Yes.
invested a lot of money, and then suddenly the government says, nope, and we're taking all the equipment. We're not gonna pay you for that equipment. We're just going to take it away from you.
Right.
So you lose your investment.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to the next section of the show, which is creating the 12 Visions world, and continue our discussion of the 12 Visions Party national platform. But we're going to begin with a reading of the Prime Law. Who would like to do that?
I could. I had pulled it up. I could probably do that, Bill. The Prime Law. Let's see, do I have it here?
I can read it if you want, Bill.
Okay, go ahead, Bob.
The Prime Law, the fundamental of protection. The purpose of human life is to prosper and live happily. The function of government is to provide the conditions that let individuals fulfill that purpose. The Prime Law guarantees those conditions by forbidding the use of initiatory force, fraud, or coercion by any person or group against any individual, property, or contract. Article 1. No person, group of persons, or government shall initiate force, threat of force, or fraud against any individual self, property, or contract. Article 2. Force is morally and legally justified only for protection from those who violate Article 1. Article 3. No exception shall exist for Articles 1 and 2. The Prime Law is the fundamental natural law of protection that directs all decisions and actions of the 12 Visions Party. The Prime Law may not be amended. That's the Prime Law.
Thank you, Bob. Larry, would you like to go ahead and read the section in the platform titled Energy?
Oh, yes, I could.
Yep.
Chapter 23, Energy. Political correctness and political motivated science rises with the rule of man. As the rule of rational law gets steadily replaced in America with the rule of irrational man, personal self-interest dominates the political process, namely the personal desire for political power, thus for winning votes and popular support. That dark, power-seeking agenda that rises with the rule of vote-gathering man leads to manipulation and distortion of reality in order to hoodwink larger portions of the population. For public support, more votes, more political power, pseudoscience rises to round up a large public following towards a noble cause, or to scare up a large public following against an impending disaster. Similarly, more and more issues of political correctness rise in an attempt to woo voters from, from more segments of the population. Unfortunately, as seen in Sister America, those contortions of reality in order to win votes and political power disrupt and destroy the natural order of society to evolve and improve. For example, implementing and enforcing pseudoscience lit- uh, litigations,
Legislation.
regulations, I'm sorry, legislation,
Hmm.
regulations, and litigations upon a society drags down the geniuses and the greatest benefactors working hard to improve and evolve society. Creation of new businesses, jobs, products, and wealth. The natural order of evolving and improving society gets shackled and pulled down by cost prohibitive political policy legislation, regulations, and litigation, such as global warming regulations, for example. Moreover, politically motivated special interest groups rally around politicians looking for votes from segments of the population. Again, the distortion and contortion of reality used to drum up followers and more votes and political power always hurt the natural order of society to evolve and improve. Hamilton America, backed by the prime law, has just one purpose for government: protection. Therefore, no pseudoscience or political correctness rises here to retard the natural order of society to evolve and improve. Hamilton America mines and drills its energy sources, embracing the natural order of society to evolve, improve, and protect itself. As the radical environment groups and ethicists raises hell in Sister America, Hamilton America just shrugs as Sister America and her citizens sink into a living hell of poverty and terror. Hamilton America enjoys a natural order of society to evolve, improve, and protect itself. Hamilton America grows enormously healthy, wealthy, and safe. Sadly, Sister America slowly dies in poverty and terror.
Thank you, Larry. And we actually see some of this in the world we live in now. One thing we brought up earlier was the problem with the water in Detroit. Um, Actually, I don't think it's Detroit.
No,
It's
it's Detroit.
yeah, in Detroit, and basically a political decision was made, and that decision created the situation in Detroit. And again, and we've part of that is what they have emergency managers that are appointed by the governor to take over a town that's no longer solvent, shall we say. And then that emergency manager is basically a dictator, can make whatever decisions he wants, and the people have to you know suffer the consequences of those decisions. And
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly what Mark Hamilton is talking about in this section, is basically, you know, the mandate being to save money, and that becomes more important than everything, including people's health and lives.
Mm.
And
Yes.
that's the rule of man.
Unfortunately, that's going to affect the lives of a lot of children for a long time.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And, you know, the other part of this is that, basically, a lot of finding sources of energy, whether it's petroleum, coal, uranium, is difficult because as our country expanded historically, the federal government made a big land grab. I mean, if you look at it, the western states, the federal government owns most of the land in those states. And in addition to owning the land, they also own the mineral rights and the water rights and everything. So in order to get to those sources of energy, you've got to pay the government.
Well, that's why the government's in the wrong business, as the 12 Vision Party so eloquently points out. That the government has only one purpose, and that's protection of its citizens. As far as that land that the government owns, it should be under the 12 Visions world and the 12 Vision Party. That land would be auctioned and sold off, to private industries to develop and to, move forward. The government, when you really look at it, everything that we have been created in the society, everything that has enhanced life, didn't come from no government.
Nope.
They came from, and you read these dynamic stories of these personal people's adventures in life to create all the things that we have. They didn't come from no government. It came from individuals who had the passion to pursue their dreams, to be able to live the life they wanted to live. And it became whatever that passion was, turned into be marketable, and it benefited society. And that's where everything moves forward. We're under the illusion that the government is creating what? The economy, they're helping the economy? No, it's all these little small businesses. You understand?
Well, we're living in the illusion here, even in New Jersey, that we own our land. We don't own our land. If we owned our land, we wouldn't have to pay any taxes. No, the government owns the land, and we have to pay them taxes if we want to keep it.
Yeah, you're just leasing the land from the government.
That's all we do.
Right. They're in the wrong business.
Yep.
They should be about protecting this country and protecting. That's what the prime law that was read earlier is so important in terms of everything we do is around that, because that prime law allows society to really know and move into that other real dimension of freedom that has never been experienced in this world.
Never
been experienced. Real freedom? They talk about it. They give you an illusion about it.
Oh yeah.
But there has never been real freedom that has ever existed on this planet that I know of.
Whereas every time they pass a law or another regulation is written, there is less and less freedom.
Exactly. And the prime law is going to change that.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next section of the show, which is how you can help create the 12 Visions world. And it does seem kind of redundant, but we're going to go over all the ways that you can help do this. The main thing is to, if you agree with the ideas that we talk about here, talk to other people about them. That's the simplest and most, the most basic thing you can do to help create the 12 Visions world is just share these ideas, talk to others, and let them know, that you're passionate about these ideas. But you can also become involved in the 12 Visions movement by contacting your state's 12 Visions Party, which is the organization that is organizing the 12 Visions movement, and either offering to help or offering to provide support financially, or becoming directly involved in the planning, either at your state level or at your local level, and also you can become involved in the Neothink Society to learn more about these ideas, and go to a clubhouse and meet other people who are learning about these ideas, and bring this all together. And also, you can tell people about this show where we're discussing these ideas, and they can hear us talk about them and our understanding of these ideas. So those are the ways you can help create the 12 Visions world. Are there any other suggestions?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there is, I'm trying to pull it up now. I mean, you want to help? We have an event coming up
Mm-hmm.
for March. 12 Visions Party in New Jersey is having an event, and I wanted to give out the information. Been trying to open up a press release that we have here. The information in it. It's an event, where you can learn about the 12 Visions Party. The 12 Visions of New Jersey is holding its 2016 state convention in Montclair, New Jersey on Saturday, March the 26th.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be representatives there from the 12 Visions Party. The day will include the latest news and updates the New Jersey organization has made towards its purpose of placing on the ballot a presidential candidate while working to get them elected. You can come learn about how the 12 Vision Party, all the state officers, including state chair, vice chair, and treasurer and secretary, will be in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be representatives from the National Executive Committee that's going to be speaking. That's from the national standpoint. It's going to be Dave Dakota, Massachusetts. Will also be giving updates on the national level.
Mm-hmm.
So tickets for the event are only $25 and can be purchased at www.tvpnjsc.eventbrite.com or call us at 800-997-7970. And there's also an early bird special available up until midnight of February the 14th. Oh, that's my birthday. Oh, okay. So, and you can get them at $15. The event is being sponsored by Ines Integration, and it's a support of the 12 Vision Party in New Jersey. And that's pretty much it. So, and you want to learn more about TVP, you can go to www.tvpnj.org.
Thank you, Larry. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Bob?
Yeah, I was going to add that they could also contact any one of us personally, and we would be happy to share information with them.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. I want to thank Larry for joining me on the show. Thank you very much, Larry.
And thank you for having me, Bill.
And I'd also like to thank Bob for joining me on the show. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bill, for having me on, and it was my pleasure to be here.
And I'd like to thank our viewers and listeners. That you're the purpose of this show. Without you, what we're doing has no meaning at all. If you have any questions, please send them to cnwshow@gmail.com. You can see previous episodes at www.tocreateanewworld. That is tocreateanewworld.blogspot.com. You can like us on Facebook. Just search for CNW Show on Facebook. You can also join our Google Plus community. Also search for CNW Show. You can support the show by telling your family and friends about it. You can also support the show by going to www.patreon.com/creatinganewworld and pledging $1 or more an episode. All opinions expressed on the show are the sole responsibility of the individual participants and do not represent the Neothink Society, the 12 Visions Party, or author Mark Hamilton. Creating a New World is a production of Integrated Values LLC. I wish everyone wealth, health, peace, love, and freedom.